When you were little, you didn't have context for the grown-up events that were happening around you. And so sometimes you would have an experience of your parents around you that would be very intimidating, very overwhelming. And without having a place to put those things, the cascade of information into your being would sort of lay down the highways of your mind and then cascade through the hormonal system emotions into the body that ultimately became the building blocks of tissue, which filled the organs, which developed a relation with the organism through systems. But what is it inside of you that you're able to process through? Because the old associations that you have as a child no longer necessarily serve you as an adult. And so the technical term is to prune. If you've ever worked in a garden, you know what it is. If your desire would be to know where the wine you drink comes from, well, the process is obviously tilling the soil at the beginning. You want to pull the weeds out, pull the rocks out that are taking away from the vine you're trying to grow. As that vine grows, you'll notice that some bunches of grapes aren't necessarily in pace with the rest of them. And you might be able to allocate a little bit more energy to the grape bunches that are really working well. And so you might snip away some of the leaves. You might snip away some of the branches so that you can focus the energy of the sun through that branch, through that vine, into the grape. And it's the same with your mind. Where you focus grows is an old yogic saying. And the idea being that what you put your attention on will start to net more attention. So as you trim back from your mind, oh, maybe I don't want to feel that way. Oh, maybe that's actually not how I want to communicate. You will notice that your body starts to allocate new pathways. They say it's 21 days to a new neural pathway. So little habits accumulated over time are going to net you a new, what may start as a path becomes a road, becomes a highway. And there has to be something that unifies them. We often think about things, what makes a thing a thing? And we forget about, I've forgotten about, and it's likely that you've forgotten about the truth, which is it's less about the thing and it's more about the relationship between the thing. Because think about it, if you had to learn every time you got behind the wheel of a car how to drive a car, it'd be nauseating and infuriating. Probably you'd be exhausted every time. It would not make going out to meet your friends or picking up the mail worth it. So a great example would be when you stand up first thing in the morning. The fact that you can balance is pretty significant, and you do it without effort. You do it effortlessly all the time without considering, and that's pretty miraculous, isn't it? We don't think about it, but if we go back to that most foundational experience of what it is to be an organism, you would discover that the atom and the atom combining into a molecule have a tremendous amount of space in their relating. The space between them is a relationship composed mostly of space. It is an electromagnetic field that binds to one another. There's three different forms of bond that they can use, and we don't need to go into that so much as you need to recognize that the atom has a shell around it and an electron in orbit, and so does this atom. And the electrons are actually what end up holding hands and creating that bond. Pretty magical. So with that much space in the body, it's important to recognize that we can be intentional with space. An intentional experience of space in the body is found in the lungs and our breath. Every breath you take is an experience of the lungs inflating and filling your organism with enough energy in the form of oxygen to metabolize experience, to metabolize food, to process all of the information and mechanism and then send signal out, right? We need information in so that we can send signal out, and vice versa. We need to send signal out so that we can get information in. We are very relational with our environment. We're less so with our own internal environment. And so to internally relate is to become aware of the breath and the signal that we're sending to the breath. When we breathe up here in the chest, that apical breath creates more tension, more stress, communicates to the body that we need cortisol, which creates a cascade of more stress. Breathing in the belly is an entirely different experience. Breathing in the abdomen allows the lungs to inflate to their capacity and allows the body to relax, to find effortlessness, space in between the breaths. Now, the easiest way to practice this is just to have a 1-to-1 breath ratio. After a while, when you become easy with that, which, initially as I practiced it, I started with like a 4-count inhale and a 4-count exhale. And just after a while, I started to notice that I could go to 5. I could go to 6. I expanded up to 8 and beyond. Start to notice the space between the inhale and the exhale. Start to explore the space between the exhale and the inhale. And you'll notice that there is a lot of space in the body, the lungs being the easiest way in. Because you are the byproduct of context. It's trillions of cells together that form and combine the being that you are. What we do then is we learn, and the central nervous system is the medium that holds what you identify as you. Most of what makes you you is contained in the front of your brain. It's called the prefrontal cortex. The signal is through the nervous system into the brain that you intend more intentionality, more compassion for yourself and for others, more gratitude. As that practice builds, you'll notice that the emotional cascade of chemicals through the body as hormones will start to develop a positive feedback loop that begets more compassion for yourself and for others. You may begin to notice that the thoughts you have that don't serve you start to fall away. You've started to trim them back, and you start to notice that your body has a little bit more space. It is important to go in and intentionally start to cull things that may have served you up until now but no longer do. And it's just time that they left. So as you begin your practice of breathing intentionally, as you start to draw a softness into the chest and allow the belly to rise and fall, that practice cultivates a little bit more space for gratitude, a little bit more intentionality. This practice is found in the equanimous breath, 4-4 inhale, exhale, and just exploring the little spaces in between on either side. I wish you the best that this life has to offer, the highest possible outcomes that are available, and I know that this is a foundational technique on that path. I wish you great success, prosperity, and grace. Blessings. Hi, my name's Ramesh, and if you've made it this far, congratulations and thank you. It's my dream that this information is valuable to you, and if you found it to be so, it would mean a great deal for you to click on the like button, to click on the subscribe button, to use the comments as a vehicle for sharing what you'd like to know more about. I am fascinated by the places that human potential, science, and spirit intersect. So if that's of interest to you, then chances are we have a lot to talk about. And I look forward to sharing so much with you. Many blessings, be kind to one another, and I'll see you in the next video.